A kind heart will help you have inner peace. Why, after middle age, do some people have gentle and benevolent faces, while others have fierce faces filled with resentment? It is because facial features are born from the heart. Appearance changes according to the heart. When the heart is beautiful, the outward appearance will also become beautiful. If you can cultivate your conduct and have a heart full of love and affection, your actions and words will also be filled with love. People who are calculating and scheming are often difficult to get along with at any time. Goodness can give rise to virtue. Intelligence is a kind of innate talent, while benevolence is a choice. Benevolence is the most admirable virtue of humans. Benevolence may not enable a person to achieve everything they desire, but it will help you maintain inner peace. Our mind is like a road. The more we calculate and plot, the more obstructed that road becomes. A heart that is broad is better than a wide path. A single broad mind is better than a whole house in turmoil. Having good things is not as good as having a good heart. Anyone who carries anger in their body has a certain destiny, like a moon that shines with corresponding virtue. Those who do good are like the moon, and those who do evil are also like the moon. Why is that? Because people who do good are like the moon from the first day to the full moon, growing brighter each day, while those who do evil are like the moon from full moon to waning, gradually fading into darkness. If we do not know how to cultivate such virtues and instead create many bad deeds, we will be like the moon from full moon to night, fading into darkness day by day. It is truly sad, isn't it? If we know how to cherish and value our own bright moon, allowing our blessings to grow day by day, we will be like the moon from the first day to the full moon, becoming increasingly bright. How lovely is that, isn't it? The world is like a mirror. If our face is wrinkled, the reflection in the mirror will also be flawed. What kind of mirror is that? Life is a mirror. When you smile at the reflection, smile back without hesitation. Send a gentle smile. The world is full of sorrows. If you illuminate your heart for a long time, you will see life clearly, even if it is still foggy outside. Everyone is a mirror, and lessons are always reflected. If your heart is compassionate and understanding of life, with the miraculous fragrance of flowers, sometimes you may feel that life is truly unfair because you have given so much without receiving much in return. But in reality, when you give, it means you have already received a lot. These are the invisible joys that you cannot touch. All of us are born and exist in this world owing debts to each other. Giving and receiving are forms of reciprocity to repay each other. When you give good things, you will receive peace of mind. True giving is giving without calculation, and you will receive what is meant for you. The more you calculate, the more you feel frustrated, and your heart becomes devoid of affection. At that point, you will not receive the joy and blessings from yourself. Everything we do for each other, whether visible or invisible, is reciprocal. We know, love, and hate each other because of destiny. The initial fate is determined by heaven. But to bond long-term and turn that fate into love and affection, it depends on each of our giving. But you should remember that in love, you will either receive joy and happiness or receive frustration and suffering. All of it is in a vicious cycle. Even knowing that you might receive something unfavorable in return, you should still give, because giving means you have loved yourself. You have merged into the endless flow of life and humanity. There is never death, because the end is just the beginning of new life forms. Often reflecting by the river of contemplation, if we smile, the reflection of our smile will smile back. Always live a life oriented towards goodness, firmly believing that happiness comes from giving is a seed of goodness. The heart is a flower of goodness. Happiness is a sweet fruit. Each person is born carrying a seed of benevolence. If that seed is cared for and watered every day, it can grow into a large tree. But some people ruin this seed, thus gradually becoming deceitful. Similarly, some people pollute that seed, thus gradually becoming unkind and cruel. No one does not need benevolence, and no one is immune to being influenced by the benevolence of humans. Even hearts as hard as steel and as cold as ice will at some point become soft and warm due to a bit of benevolence. The highest realm of benevolence is not to pay attention to the results and rewards for one's good deeds. a person who opens the doors of their heart to the vast heavens and earth, being gentle at each sweet dawn, peaceful in every fiber of body and mind. O dear, awaken, silently. Moments are more than 1,000 years of confusion. Looking at life with childlike eyes, boundless heart, touching the shores of love. Letting go for a while, sitting firmly in a state of bliss under the sky, carefree. 100 years filled with worries, knowing that true happiness and peace lie within someone's heart. Return to the murky banks and the inner river, will hear the love in the heart blossom, will love our realm. Embracing arms full of grace, always compassionate, because millions of spirits share the same essence, different yet similar. When the soul dissipates its illusions, clutching 5 drops of water returns to the ocean. Who knows, in the impermanent world, a lotus branch blooms eternal, leisurely pausing amidst life's ups and downs, silently listening as the heart's desires remain unnoticed by heaven and earth. When life is like a single blooming heart, the more enlightened it is, the longer the dream. It's simply that the heart clings to the petals again, sharing birth and death, a simple song. Do you believe that someone would only realize they have lived in this human realm when their last breath comes? When we have a little, we want more. When we have more, we wish for even more. But when we lose, we have to give it all back. We must accept that we only need to ask for a little. Just a little is enough. Knowing when to stop and being content is one of the important keys to opening the door to peace. Life is not a race, but a journey for us to take step by step. The most important thing is not the rewards received when we reach the destination, but what we experience on each leg of the journey. Therefore, we need to be aware of ourselves, to know clearly that we are living in every breath. If we cannot do this, then we are not truly living, but merely existing. Everyone knows one simple thing. When we come to and leave this world, we have empty hands. So why try to find ways to hold on to everything for ourselves? Things never truly belong to us, living in a world of confusion. Although life has 10,000 paths, we walk with wisdom and compassion. Compassion must be guided by wisdom and adapted to circumstances, living with everything, skillfully steering the boat across the river, understanding to live truly wisely. All suffering and happiness are born from the mind and also dissolved by the mind. Therefore, how our mind is, so will our perception of life be. Fate is born from the inner self. When choosing a path, it means we are determining our destiny. We should not be too concerned about the past, live fully in the present, and direct our vision towards the future. By doing so, our tomorrow will surely be brighter. There are times when facing the destruction of impermanence, humans feel like they are about to collapse. But if we understand the philosophy of dependent origination, humans will realize that they have long been enjoying too many gifts from the universe. Thus, the universe takes back one benefit to share with others. It is natural. There is no bitterness. Where there is success, there is failure. Where there is union, there is separation. But most people never want that. Humanity suffers because it desires everything to be permanent, while the essence of life is impermanence. On the other hand, some people ignore the suffering of others for their own benefit, to make themselves happy. Therefore, in the possession, the joy of one person is always seeking the loss and sadness of others. But anyway, why look at the dark side of society? Because the nature of life is always like that. Knowing how to let go and being able to let go brings peace to the heart. Human suffering often originates from greed, anger, and delusion. Therefore, to live happily, you should let go of some of your own desires and accept imperfection as a necessary part of being human. A person's life comes naked, and when they leave, they also depart naked. Eating and drinking in a day are just 3 meals. Sleeping is done in just 1 room. So why cling to having a too large home when it only burdens people? Seeing that unfulfilled desires are the root of all suffering in the world. Humans who want to reduce their worries must first learn how to let go. But understand that letting go means letting go of desires, not letting go of duties and responsibilities. There are times when people live too stressed and become troubled by trivial matters around them. Ignoring things a bit can sometimes make them feel happy and content. Why? Because people who are judgmental are often too serious, considering both big and small matters as severe and critical. Overthinking leads to fatigue. Life is always dominated by trivial tasks, occupying all the time, making it hard to feel happy and at peace. Meanwhile, those who live by ignoring things are less concerned about surrounding matters. Perhaps that's why their lives become simple and somewhat casual, general. But also because of that, they find the true flavor of a peaceful life. Be simple as a human being. Be realistic in your work so that days pass gently, simply, wisely, and freely. Everyone in life will face unsatisfactory situations. In those times, one must accept that since the past, the person who can handle great tasks must be someone with great magnanimity and great patience. Patience is not about avoiding or running away, but a form of accumulating energy. Those who know patience will often make fewer mistakes due to momentary actions. Benevolence is the most admirable virtue of humans. Benevolence may not enable a person to achieve everything they desire, but it will help you maintain inner peace and a joyful state of mind. Playfulness is the secret to longevity and staying youthful. Humans do not stop having fun because they grow old. It is precisely because of playfulness that we do not age. A smile is a wonderful kind of makeup, creating human beauty. It is the simplest and fastest way to connect people with each other. Because after middle age, some people have gentle and benevolent faces, while others have fierce faces filled with resentment. It is because facial features are born from the heart. Appearance changes according to the heart. When the heart is beautiful, the outward appearance will also become beautiful. People who have hearts full of love and affection will have their actions and words also filled with love. People who are always calculating and scheming are often difficult to get along with at any time. A person who understands tolerance will have a broad heart. These people are always non-calculating, non-scheming, and will not be excessively joyful for gaining small benefits. People who are always calculating are often very exhausted. The ancients have a saying, "Step back one step, the sea is wide and the sky is high. Step forward one step, it is just stepping forward." Stepping back, yielding one step will gain more friends. Stepping forward one step and losing oneself should stop. If you need to step back to understand yourself, then step back a few more steps or many steps. It will be all right. The values set by life for you to strive for are all relative. The two words, success in the future, that society has defined, have imprisoned the current lives of many people in a prison. What is the meaning of constantly chasing shadows to the point of forgetting to live fully in the present? Know that white is white and black is black. Don't seek white and black, don't seek black and white. Clearly recognizing white and black, life will always dissolve like a glass of water. Whether hot or mild, the suitable temperature is drinkable. Sweet taste or bitter tree smell, as long as it suits the palate, it is delicious. Fast or slow, aligning with the senses is good. The four seasons cycle regardless of spring, summer, autumn, winter. If it aligns with your mood, it is all beautiful. Life is not a war, so there is no need to distinguish winners and losers between people. If empathy increases, misunderstandings between affairs will decrease. If yielding and patience increase, struggles will decrease. Some matters require patience. Some people need to yield, and you cannot remain calm and aloof. It is not necessary to beg for others' approval and understanding, because everyone has their own perspectives and personalities. We often overvalue ourselves, which leads to worries about loss, thinking others do not understand us. In reality, being human requires knowing to downplay the individual, reducing a bit of ego, putting ourselves in others' positions to think, to see life as more delightful, as when you speak more openly, the joy is greater. The more you embrace, the more you receive. Don't discuss others behind their backs, nor do you need to pay too much attention to rumors about yourself. Because a useless person has nothing to say, while the more outstanding you are, the more you are noticed and criticized, expecting to accept fault as a form of honesty, while ignoring is a form of pretense. If you give sincerely and are approved, it shows that the other party is somewhat mediocre. She has often said that when you can tolerate even the things that do not go your way in life, focusing only on responsibilities without seeking benefits, that is when you are standing at a high spiritual position. When you can face forward with hope, look downward with empathy, and treat others with gratitude, that is when you are standing at a high position of the soul. Life not only requires looking far and seeing through, but also needing to see everything clearly. Looking far allows you to see the whole. Seeing through lets you know that the bustling world is mostly because of fame, because of words and actions. Seeing through does not mean having no desires, but letting the mind be peaceful and serene. Relationships are the most basic value of humans, not in appearance, but in losing the spirit of progress. A person may not be able to change their external appearance, but can completely improve their inner temperament. When the personality changes, life will follow and change in relationships. In life, remember that benevolence, enthusiasm, and honesty will bring good results. There are smiles that are more intimate than politeness and can bring warmth to others in daily relationships. Everything has its destined relationship between people. If you see people as bodhisattvas, they will be holy people. If you see others as demons, they will become scary characters. Just like looking in a mirror, if your mouth smiles, you will receive a happy face. If your eyebrows are furrowed, you will see a sorrowful face. Among friends, it's the same. If you treat them with respect and admiration, they will respond gently and politely. But treating them with disdain and harshness will only receive dissatisfaction and contempt. Therefore, in life, treat friends sincerely, treat family members loyally, treat loved ones with tolerance, treat enemies with forgiveness. If you always maintain a gentle mindset, treating everyone kindly, they will gradually perceive it and respond accordingly in their hearts. Containing good things, the quality of life is also elevated accordingly. Appearance is born from the mind, circumstances are born from the mind's changes. Appearance comes from the mind outward and then spreads around, leading to good results. Humans are very simple but also very frightening. A benevolent heart can tolerate everything, while a cruel heart can harm countless people. Being too cunning makes others avoid you. Being too strict leads people to criticize you. And in any matter, you will always fight to the end. With even a slight advantage, you strive to compete with everything, eventually losing people's goodwill and becoming despicable yourself. Therefore, when faced with wealth and benefits, you should be a little more tolerant to maintain harmony and stop calculating. Benevolence does not depend on external appearance, but originates from within the soul. It is acceptable to be slightly physically small, but do not let your heart be ugly. A benevolent person does not depend on external appearance, but originates from within the soul. It is acceptable to be slightly physically small, but do not let your mind be ugly. It is acceptable to be a little lazy, but do not let your spirit be feeble. Feeble people are often pessimistic and self-doubting, so they must cultivate a courageous, assertive, and confident spirit. It is acceptable to be a bit slow in hands and eyes, but do not let your mind be confused. Always remember to keep a bright and wise mind, to look far and see broadly. It is acceptable to be a little unkind, but definitely do not become too harsh to avoid turning into a demon. Otherwise, if you do not go to hell, who will? It is acceptable to be a little intelligent, but definitely do not consider yourself outstanding while thinking others are fools. Otherwise, this world will have only one fool, you. It is acceptable to be a little lazy, but never be someone who procrastinates all day on necessary tasks. Strive to do things fully and have a bit of a spirit of dedication. If you do not want to be a parasite clinging to society, being a little frugal is acceptable, but do not be overly calculating for money. Otherwise, you will develop the habit of judging others by their money, sooner or later becoming its slave. It is good to be a little forgiving, but do not let others underestimate you. Take advantage of your tolerance and continue to make mistakes. In any case, you should rely on rules and your own self-esteem. It is acceptable to be a little suffering, but do not let suffering prolong without a way to escape. You must learn how to let go. Some matters arise that can only be accepted. Some people are lost that can only be let go. Some paths are chosen that only allow you to step forward. Many good things come from waiting, not from competing for possessions. Therefore, have patience if you do not want to make mistakes with happiness. Enjoy every big and small thing that arises in life, because tomorrow when you look back, you will realize that they are actually very important. Many things you have to wait until they become memories before you realize the value they carried. If you truly have destiny, then time or ways are not a problem. If you are without destiny, even if you meet, each person will go their own way. When you listen beyond your prejudiced heart and closely look at the people you hate the most, you will realize an interesting thing, that somewhere they still find things truly endearing. Therefore, you must block the ability to find them hateful, recognizing that the people you hate are only relatively unpleasant. And when you objectively observe the people you love and cherish the most, you will immediately see that they also have slips, mistakes, and many imperfect points. Therefore, perhaps the endearing points in the people you cherish are also only relatively endearing. When you know that nothing in life is absolutely perfect, you will not secretly and excessively hate those you find unattractive. When you know that nothing in life is absolutely perfect, you will let go and escape from obsessive enthusiasm and emotional behaviors like loving and playing around. In summary, when you have an objective view of reality, you will feel comfortable when dealing with different opinions and with people, whether endearing or not. A mature person is not so because they live long, travel everywhere, and go through many things, but because they know when to let go or be tolerant to reduce struggle for possessions. Everyone in their hearts must endure varying degrees of pain, not because it has passed so they no longer feel it, but because they know that even if they speak up, it will not solve anything, only make themselves weaker. So, maturity is being able to keep a complete smile in the process of transforming suffering into happiness. No matter how many bad things are in current life, you still need to confront them with compassion. Do not think of mixed matters. A righteous person should not curse and blame in life. There are many things that are not necessarily good just because they follow your will. The sun does not rise because you are unhappy. It just does not rise. The moonlight does not rise because you are angry and bow to the cicada. Not closing your eyes does not mean the world will turn into night. A dark mind obscures people's vision, but light may not necessarily belong to you alone. In the world, there is only brilliance. There is no kind of grass that cannot be cut. Work is only incomplete because humans have not thought of a complete method. Nothing is impossible to accomplish. If one wants to, they will think of a way. Otherwise, they will find a reason. Being human, if it is easy, it is not necessarily easy to move thousands of hearts or manage the mouths of all the world. Of course, it is not easy to be human, but it is not necessarily difficult either. Just keep a benevolent heart, be a gentle person, and follow your own path. So when facing storms, just tell yourself to pass through the thorny region. The sun will naturally appear. Do not waste effort complaining, sighing in front of others, because speaking does not make them care. Some people who let go will feel light. Some people who suddenly remember will also make us happy. A few pains, thinking clearly will help oneself become stronger. Being too concerned about a matter will make you entangled endlessly. In fact, no matter how simple a matter is, if you think too much, it becomes complicated. Just keep a calm mindset, a broad heart, and everything will pass through smoothly and gently. Human life passes by very quickly. If you can step over the illusory fame, you can touch the real things. When life encounters complex matters, solve them gently and let go of unnecessary entanglements so that the heart can be at peace to move forward. Yielding the way to others avoids crowding and stumbling, and you will see a rainbow after the rain. Packing light luggage will allow you to travel freely on the long road. In fact, the most beautiful scenery is not seen by the eyes but felt by the heart, with deep emotions. You do not need to speak, you can recognize it through actions. Whenever you are dissatisfied, remember the nature of water is always soft, gentle, silently accepting. Then transformation does not require disputes or divisions. If everyone could cultivate to that realm, the hearts of all beings would not be peaceful. People's hearts would not be stable. If you see everyone as unique and see meaning in everything, you will find this life truly joyful and this world truly beautiful. If you use a troubled mind to face life, everything becomes karmic afflictions. The world will become ugly, hateful. Many people envy themselves being more beautiful, but in reality, the best method to be beautiful is to keep a pure inner heart and a joyful spirit. This beauty makes others feel gentle, not easily disgusted. Actually, everything received in this life is the result of what you have created before. and the things you are doing will receive the results later. Life continues in this way. If you are aware, we will limit a lot of negative thoughts and not impose on others. When encountering matters against your will, karmic consequences come from diligence and a sacrificial lifestyle. Start with compassion, help the poor, use a thankful heart, reciprocate sincere thoughts, keep a respectful heart with everyone. Everything, if you have faith in karma, will not create regretful matters in life. Always respect others and convey tolerance, gratitude, expansiveness, and a tolerant heart with 100 rivers to become vast. There are 2 things in this life that we cannot do without. 1 is to walk, and 2 is to stop. Are you using a positive mindset to carry them out? A positive mindset is the best companion, helping us always be happy and healthy with close friends or distant ones. If there is mutual destiny, you should know to give good relationships, because daily matters are not less fragrant when urgent. Embracing the Buddha's feet is useless, so you must know how to accumulate human relationships, similar to a bank account. The more you deposit, the longer the time, the more you benefit. When encountering matters, do not be angry. Do not make hasty conclusions. Especially when angry, you must know how to place yourself in different positions to perceive. Exaggerate or minimize matters. Downplaying them does not hurt. The more complicated the matter, the gentler it should be solved. Decide firmly. Do not make simple things become complicated, and have enough awareness. Most of people's worries in life are due to useless comparisons. In class, some people are inferior, and of course there are friends you cannot bear when you complain about lacking wealth. Remember those who do not have the means to walk. If a rival makes you angry, it shows that you have not yet overcome them. They turn around to see who is cursing and blaming them. Useless acts are unnecessary. Similar to when being criticized, you have to provoke to be angry. Therefore, there is no need to pay too much attention to the malicious words of others. Do not see work as a burden. Instead of striving with frustration, face it with joy and positivity. View work as a part of life as art. You will enjoy the joy it brings. Living one more day is also like a minute, so know to cherish life, as it is only a short few decades. Do not do things that make yourself deeply regretful. The sun rises from the east sea, sets in the west mountain. Sadness passes by, happiness also a day without worry. In quiet towns, life will be peaceful, and the spirit will be light. One of the many mental sufferings of humans living in this world is demanding absolutes in the way others behave towards us. When we know how to accept the relativity from others, happiness will be within reach, and we can enjoy the present moment. When we know how to accept relativity, our hearts will increase in trust and love for people in life, reducing dissatisfaction and disappointment. In reality, the foundation of this life is the relativity between one person and another, between this and that, between this world and another world, between this life and the next. No one lives without dying, and nothing dies without reincarnating in this form or another. Because living is relative, life is relative. Therefore, no one can live completely independently in life, nor is anyone absolutely perfect. If you listen beyond your prejudiced heart and closely look at the people you hate the most, you will realize an interesting thing, that somewhere they still find things truly endearing. Therefore, you must block the ability to find them hateful, recognizing that the people you hate are only relatively unpleasant. And when you objectively observe the people you love and cherish the most, you will immediately see that they also have slips, mistakes, and many imperfect points. Therefore, perhaps the endearing points in the people you cherish are also only relatively endearing. When you know that nothing in life is absolutely perfect, you will not secretly and excessively hate those you find unattractive. When you know that nothing in life is absolutely perfect, you will let go and escape from obsessive enthusiasm and emotional behaviors like loving and playing around. In summary, when you have an objective view of reality, you will feel comfortable when dealing with different opinions and with people, whether endearing or not. A mature person is not so because they live long, travel everywhere, and go through many things, but because they know when to let go or be tolerant to reduce struggle for possessions. Everyone in their hearts must endure varying degrees of pain, not because it has passed so they no longer feel it, but because they know that even if they speak up, it will not solve anything, only make themselves weaker. So, maturity is being able to keep a complete smile in the process of transforming suffering into happiness. No matter how many bad things are in current life, you still need to confront them with compassion. Do not think of mixed matters. A righteous person should not curse and blame in life. There are many things that are not necessarily good just because they follow your will. The sun does not rise because you are unhappy, it just does not rise. The moonlight does not rise because you are angry and bow to the cicada. Not closing your eyes does not mean the world will turn into night. A dark mind obscures people's vision, but light may not necessarily belong to you alone. In the world, there is only brilliance. There is no kind of grass that cannot be cut. Work is only incomplete because humans have not thought of a complete method. Nothing is impossible to accomplish. If one wants to, they will think of a way. Otherwise, they will find a reason. Being human, if it is easy, it is not necessarily easy to move thousands of hearts or manage the mouths of all the world. Of course, it is not easy to be human, but it is not necessarily difficult either. Just keep a benevolent heart, be a gentle person, and follow your own path. So when facing storms, just tell yourself to pass through the thorny region. The sun will naturally appear. Do not waste effort complaining, sighing in front of others, because speaking does not make them care. Some people who let go will feel light. Some people who suddenly remember will also make us happy. A few pains, thinking clearly will help oneself become stronger. Being too concerned about a matter will make you entangled endlessly. In fact, no matter how simple a matter is, if you think too much, it becomes complicated. Just keep a calm mindset, a broad heart, and everything will pass through smoothly and gently. Human life passes by very quickly. If you can step over the illusory fame, you can touch the real things. When life encounters complex matters, solve them gently, and let go of unnecessary entanglements so that the heart can be at peace to move forward. Yielding the way to others avoids crowding and stumbling, and you will see a rainbow after the rain. Packing light luggage will allow you to travel freely on the long road. In fact, the most beautiful scenery is not seen by the eyes but felt by the heart, with deep emotions. You do not need to speak, you can recognize it through actions. Whenever you are dissatisfied, remember the nature of water is always soft, gentle, silently accepting. Then transformation does not require disputes or divisions. If everyone could cultivate to that realm, the hearts of all beings would not be peaceful. People's hearts would not be stable. If you see everyone as unique and see meaning in everything, you will find this life truly joyful and this world truly beautiful. If you use a troubled mind to face life, everything becomes karmic afflictions. The world will become ugly, hateful. Many people envy themselves being more beautiful, but in reality, the best method to be beautiful is to keep a pure inner heart and a joyful spirit. This beauty makes others feel gentle, not easily disgusted. Actually, everything received in this life is the result of what you have created before, and the things you are doing will receive the results later. Life continues in this way. If you are aware, we will limit a lot of negative thoughts and not impose on others. When encountering matters against your will, karmic consequences come from diligence and a sacrificial lifestyle. Start with compassion, help the poor, use a thankful heart, reciprocate sincere thoughts, keep a respectful heart with everyone. Everything, if you have faith in karma, will not create regretful matters in life. Always respect others and convey tolerance, gratitude, expansiveness, and a tolerant heart with 100 rivers to become vast.
Buddha ultimately entered nirvana. So what is Buddha's transcendence over birth and death? Welcome back everyone to Mind Podcast. Most Buddhists believe that Buddha is a divine being because according to the scriptures, Buddha saves all sentient beings in the 3,000 great thousand worlds equally. Thus, if anyone needs anything, they sincerely pray and it will be granted. From this belief, we see statues of Buddha being made large and beautiful everywhere, and incense is offered before these statues with prayers for increased blessings and longevity, good fortune in business, happiness, peace in the family. When dying, they pray to be brought to the Western Pure Land. This belief has become deeply ingrained in Buddhists over many generations, and changing it is not easy. However, According to the original scriptures, did Buddha promise to save everyone? Under what conditions does this salvation occur? How can one be saved by Buddha? Before discussing Buddha's salvation, we should reconsider our understanding of Buddha. Buddha can be understood in two ways. To those following the two vehicles, he is a deity with the power to bestow blessings, dispel suffering, and bring joy. But according to the one vehicle, which aligns with the original scriptures, Buddha is the state of liberation that everyone can achieve, not just the Buddhas of caste. This is why Shakyamuni Buddha foretold, "I am a Buddha who has become enlightened. All sentient beings are Buddhas yet to become enlightened." Therefore, there are the Buddhas of the three times: past, present, and future. In the past, people cultivated and attained Buddhahood. In the present, if anyone follows the teachings of the original scriptures, they can also attain Buddhahood. And in the future, it will be the same. The path we are discussing here is called the One Vehicle, which does not view Buddha as a deity but as a mirror, and the scriptures as a will or a map for us to follow to meet our own Buddha. Following this path, we adhere to the basic principles taught in the original scriptures. Everyone knows that Buddhism has been transmitted for a long time. Even during Buddha's time, 5,000 people left, refusing to listen further to Buddha's teachings, thinking that they had understood everything. No one could stop them from spreading their half-understood knowledge. Since then, each era has produced countless teachers who have interpreted and taught Buddhism in various ways. Even when visiting a bookstore, one sees numerous books on Buddhism. People who understand the Dharma to varying degrees have written and published commentaries on Buddha's teachings, and later generations cannot distinguish between what is true and what is false, between those who understand correctly and those who misunderstand. All are preaching in the name of Buddhism. In fact, even during the time of the sixth patriarch, who was officially transmitted the robe and bowl, and had not yet begun to preach, Master Shenshu, who did not receive the transmission, had already been preaching for 16 years and had a large following. It was said that in those times, the south followed Huineng and the north followed Shenshu. Both sides had many followers who continued to practice and preach, and even today, Buddhism is spread widely using the scriptures. Not to mention that within Zen Buddhism, there are already 5 sects: Guiyun, Yunmen, Faiyan, Caodong, and Linji, each producing numerous Zen masters and teachers. As a result, later generations can only rely on their own karmic fortune. If they are lucky, they will benefit, and if not, they have to accept it. Just with the prophecy, "I am a Buddha who has become enlightened. All sentient beings are Buddhas yet to become enlightened," we see that Buddha is neither a unique position nor a deity. If that were the case, how could everyone attain that position? The second point we need to consider is, what did Buddha liberate himself from? What did he do to achieve this state of liberation? To understand this, we need to look back at the reason why Prince Siddhartha decided to renounce the world. Everyone knows that on a walk outside the palace, he was deeply moved by the sight of an old person, sick person, and a corpse, realizing that no one can escape aging, sickness, and death. This prompted him to seek a way to escape these inevitable suffering. He left the palace and joined various groups of practitioners, hoping they had the answer. But he only learned supernatural powers and magic, which disappointed him. Eventually, after 49 days and nights of meditation under the Bodhi tree, found the answer. Upon declaring his complete liberation, we see that Shakyamuni Buddha identified the cause of the cycle of birth, aging, sickness, and death, and stated that henceforth, this cause could no longer create that cycle. What he discovered is called the truth of liberation, and he dedicated the rest of his life to teaching this truth. This is a summary of Buddhism. This Dharma was transmitted through 33 patriarchs until the transmission of the robe and bowl was lost, leading to widespread, uncontrolled teaching. The consequence is that today we no longer see anyone truly attaining enlightenment. Instead, we see people focusing on building grand temples and large statues of Buddha to worship and pray to, while the practice of becoming Buddha is no longer mentioned. We want to return to the correct path and fulfill the prophecy. We must understand what it means to become Buddha and what we must do to achieve it. From the reason for Shakyamuni Buddha's renunciation, we see that becoming Buddha is not about becoming a deity with 32 good features and 80 fine qualities capable of saving the 3,000 great thousand worlds, but rather it is about achieving liberation for oneself from the bonds of birth, aging, sickness, and death. However, those who do not fully understand may encounter a significant contradiction here. How can we reconcile the Buddhist theory of escaping birth, aging, sickness, and death when Shakyamuni Buddha himself aged, died, and was cremated? This is something that followers of the two vehicles who see Buddha as a deity dare not discuss. For if Buddha were truly a deity, he should be immortal, right? How can we pray to him to save us from death if he himself did not escape it? If we read the original scriptures, we see more clearly. In the Sutra on the Inconceivable Teaching, during a Dharma talk, Buddha asked Rahula, who was distracted and not listening, "Since all things are impermanent and it is difficult to maintain the human body, can you preserve your life until you are older?" Rahula replied, "No, I cannot. Can you, Buddha, preserve my life for me?" Buddha responded, "Rahula, I cannot even preserve my own life, let alone preserve yours." If Buddha could preserve life, why would he need to remind us of impermanence? Shakyamuni Buddha was born from a mother like everyone else. The legend that he was born from the side of Queen Maya has been examined by scholars, who explain that this was a way for ancient Indians to describe social hierarchy. Royalty and nobility were said to be born from the head or side, merchants from the belly, and commoners from the feet. It was not a mystical or supernatural event. After attaining enlightenment and teaching, Buddha lived as an ordinary person. If he were a deity, he would have used magic to provide food for himself and his disciple. Instead, he followed the usual order of going from house to house for alms, returning to the monastery to eat, putting away his robe and bowl, washing his feet, and sitting down. Buddha often fell ill. For example, Ananda had to beg for milk for him. Ultimately, Buddha also died from food poisoning after eating a meal offered by Kunda. So why did he become a sacred figure who saves the 3,000 great thousand worlds after his death? Did he save everyone? How? What is his transcendence over birth and death? These are the questions that need to be reconsidered regarding Buddha's salvation of sentient beings. First of all, it is certain that we are not Buddha's sentient beings. For to become Buddha, one must save all sentient beings. Shakyamuni Buddha saved all sentient beings, so he became Buddha. The sentient beings saved have already become Buddha and have entered nirvana, free from suffering. But we are still in the midst of worldly troubles, full of suffering, so we are not Buddha's sentient beings. Secondly, both sentient beings and Buddha realms exist in the mind. Therefore, cultivating Buddhism is called cultivating the mind, and the Buddha realm is within the mind. As the Vimalakirti Sutra says, according to the purity of the mind, the Buddha realm is purified. Thus, the Buddha realm is not in the Eastern Pure Land or Western Pure Land outside of ourselves, for if it were, it would belong to another Buddha. Thirdly, what are sentient beings? The sixth patriarch explained, "Good knowing friends, the sentient beings in your mind are the false, deceitful, unwholesome, hateful, and malicious thoughts. These are all called sentient beings. Each person must use their own nature to save themselves. This is called true salvation. Since everyone can save their own sentient beings, Shakyamuni Buddha foretold that all sentient beings will become Buddha. The sentient beings of each person exist in their own mind, though no one else can save them. This is why Buddhism teaches self-reliance. If Shakyamuni Buddha could save others, he would first have saved his own son, Rahula, and his cousin, Ananda. But they all had to practice and attain realization, proving that Buddha did not save others. Therefore, those who pray for salvation are misunderstanding the teachings and the words of Buddha. The salvation of the 3,000 great thousand worlds is understood as follows. In ancient times, language was limited, and Shakyamuni Buddha had difficulty expressing his inner thoughts, so he had to use external examples. Humans are often troubled by the three poisons, greed, anger, and delusion, which cause countless thoughts in every moment. Over a lifetime, this becomes an unimaginable number. Recently, researchers in Australia have calculated that a person generates about 50,000 thoughts each day. But thousands of years ago, Buddha had already observed this and saw that the number of thoughts was as numerous as the inhabitants of a large country. Since there were 3 types, he called this the 3,000 great thousand worlds. The Buddha of each person has the task of saving the 3,000 great thousand worlds of their own mind. They must save until all these thoughts are extinguished, achieving liberation, as these types of sentient beings no longer exist. This is called saving all sentient being. But if sentient beings are thoughts, then does this mean saving all thoughts results in a mind empty like wood or stone? Is that what it means to become Buddha? The scriptures only teach to eliminate false thoughts or the 3 poisons, not to eliminate thoughts of the past, present, and future, as many mistakenly believe, leaving the mind empty like a soulless being. Because Buddhism also teaches the 4 immeasurable minds, loving kindness, compassion, joy, and equanimity, which must be cultivated. Additionally, practitioners must have right view, right intention, right effort, right concentration, right speech, right action. Practicing Buddhism is not about becoming like wood or stone, unfeeling and lifeless, not discerning between good and evil, right and wrong. So how should we understand Shakyamuni Buddha's transcendence over birth and death? Ordinary people cling to appearances and therefore suffer because of them. Those who see the body as themselves naturally suffer joy and sorrow, life and death, along with it. While living in the temporary body, they create countless negative karma, which they must repay, leading to the cycle of birth and death. Shakyamuni Buddha knew that the body of each person is merely the result of the conditions of causes and effects manifesting in one lifetime. When the conditions and karma end, the body disintegrates. The true self of each person is the true nature that exists alongside the body but does not die with it. It is neither born nor dies. Therefore, anyone who finds their true nature and abides in it will no longer suffer life and death. For the suffering of life and death is only the process that occurs with the false appearance of the body. Since Shakyamuni Buddha no longer clung to the body, he transcended birth and death. And any practitioner who attains realization also achieves this, which is why Buddha before and Buddha after are equal. In summary, Buddhism teaches us to pray without attachment, meaning that if we sow good seeds, good fruits will naturally come. No Buddha can take us to the Buddha realm of other Buddhas. The Eastern Pure Land or Western Pure Land is within the mind of each person, achieved after transforming all the evil sentient beings within. Moreover, Buddhism is a religion of cause and effect. If we keep praying, how is that different from the followers of other theistic religions? How can we claim that our religion is the true path? This is why one of the 4 things Buddha advised is to rely on the scriptures that lead to understanding, not on those that do not. For when the meaning is not understood, and one clings to the teachings, it is easy to misunderstand Buddhism's expedient means, turning the one vehicle into the 2 vehicle, and becoming a superstitious person who only knows how to rely on and pray. The scriptures use a very heavy analogy, comparing this to the poor son, who, though he is the son of a rich man, does not dare to enter his father's house to claim his inheritance, but instead roams around picking up trash to earn a living. This refers to Buddhists who have the ability to save themselves and become Buddha, but think they are Buddha's sentient beings, and only know how to pray for salvation. Buddha has already saved all his sentient beings. As for the sentient beings within us, should we let them sink into the sea of suffering forever? We call ourselves Buddha's children, but if we don't listen to our Father's teachings and don't fulfill the prophecy, we risk unknowingly becoming those who slander Buddha and mock the Dharma. So, dear friends, continue this video. We would like to share with you a story. The Tale of the Little Hungry Ghost by the Naihei Bridge. Everyone says that once dead, they leave behind all the affairs of life, but that's not true. Nothing is lost, nothing disappears, nothing is born, nothing dies. I am a hungry ghost, a little ghost with many stories in the underworld, serving under the Lord of the cycle of rebirth. We are considered the lowest and smallest of all beings in the world, living only in the dark underworld, lifetime after lifetime. My job is to patrol the Naihei Bridge, a simple task, because apart from a few lonely souls and hungry ghosts passing by, nothing else happened. Nothing would have happened either. I would usually sit idly by the bridge, staring blankly at the lonely, wandering souls flying by. Day after day, month after month, year after year, one day, the Lord of the cycle of rebirth called me and said that I had been faithfully guarding the Naihe Bridge for 300 years without a single mistake. Therefore, I was given the opportunity to become a soul reaper and be sent to the human world. The human world is truly beautiful. Everything is there compared to the dark, gloomy underworld. It's like a dream. But unfortunately, every time I go to the human world, it's always midnight, and my task is to collect the souls of the dead. Over time, I learned that creatures like me, or rather like us ghosts, cause humans to fear and suffer the most, because when we appear, it means a human life has ended. I could only smile sadly, where humans believe in fate, fear it, and their hatred extends to us as well. Time passed quickly. Another 100 years slipped by. The Lord of the cycle of rebirth told me, "You have accumulated 400 years of merit. When you reach 500 years of merit, you can choose to be reincarnated as a human or continue cultivating in the underworld to become an immortal." At that time, I was very happy. So happy that I laughed out loud. White Impermanence, my older brother, teased me, saying that my laughter was even uglier than that of a ghost. I thought to myself, I am a ghost after all, but I found that White Impermanence's laughter was even uglier than mine. If humans were to see him laughing, half of them would likely be scared to death. In the last 100 years, I continued to diligently complete all the tasks assigned to me by the Lord, but I found that these last 100 years seemed longer than the previous 400. I hoped it would pass more quickly so that one day I could be reincarnated. One day, while patrolling the Naihe Bridge, I heard a faint sound of sobbing. I walked over and found a female ghost crying. I asked her why she was there, and she said she had accidentally extinguished the lantern that illuminated the path of reincarnation. When I'm in a good mood, I often help others or other ghosts. I was in a good mood at that time, so I told her I could guide her back to the underworld's palace. The female ghost wiped her tears, smiled at me, and said, "Thank you." In that moment, it felt like something pierced my heart, and I was confused. I had never seen a ghost smile so beautifully. My legs felt weak. I guided the female ghost back to the underworld's palace, and when we arrived, the Lord checked her records and said she was a wronged soul who could not be reincarnated, only imprisoned in the city of wronged souls. She cried, and in that moment, I felt compassion for her. I asked the Lord if there was any way she could be reincarnated. The Lord became furious, scolding me harshly. I was so scared that I trembled all over. She was also frightened and did not dare say anything more. I bowed my head and suppressed my anger, leading the female ghost to the city of wronged souls. Along the way, I did not say a word. When we arrived, she nodded and entered the city. I watched her until she disappeared from sight, and just before she did, she turned back and said, "Thank you." Days passed, and I realized I still thought about her. Sometimes I would sneak over to the city of wronged souls to catch a glimpse of her. I discovered that she often rushed to the Longing Tower early in the morning and stood there all day, looking out and then returning, crying. I did not understand why every time I saw her cry, I also wanted to cry. Spring quietly passed. The willow blossoms had turned into falling snow, and when the swallows returned, the sunset clouds glowed with a beautiful color that seemed to have been imprinted deep in my heart. In this heartless world, there was a vague sense of emotion, feeling that seemed to linger in the heart, never having followed the swallows back to the south. On Qingming Festival, I went to find her grave. It was a mound of earth with a cup of wine and a plate of fruit offerings in front. Two people, an adult and a child, crying. I stood there in a daze, a sadness and loss I had never felt before gripping my heart. I stayed there for a long time until midnight, drinking a cup of human wine, a strong and bitter taste that left a lingering feeling in my heart that I could not name. One day, I accidentally asked White Impermanence, "How can wronged souls be reincarnated?" He said, "It requires karma." I asked, "What is karma?" He replied, "Karma is actually the price paid. If someone sows a seed, someone else will reap the result. If someone offers a chance for reincarnation, the wronged soul can return to the human world." He also said, "No ghost is foolish enough to give up a chance at reincarnation." Days continued to pass endlessly. The Lord of the cycle of rebirth called me and said, You have accumulated 500 years of merit. Now you can choose your future path. I said, I wish to be reincarnated. The Lord asked, which land do you want to be reincarnated into? I replied, I want her to be reincarnated with me. The Lord widened his eyes in surprise. White Impermanence was so shocked that his tongue fell to the ground. The Lord said, if you give up your 500 years of merit, you will return to being a little hungry ghost patrolling the Naihi Bridge. I said, I am willing. After saying that, I quietly left. At that moment, my heart was calm, as if nothing had happened. On the day she left, I secretly watched her until she drank the soup of forgetfulness from Mengpo and stepped onto the reincarnation platform. It was too far away for me to see her anymore. I could not hold back, and stepped out from my hiding place, looking towards the reincarnation platform. Mengpo was startled to see me and sighed, then continued cooking her soup of forgetfulness. I returned to being a little hungry ghost, still patrolling the Naihi Bridge. Every day I went to the foot of the bridge, hoping. I believed that one day, when death comes again, she would return and pass by here. Tear rolled down in my dream. Day after day, another day passed. I waited by the bridge, looking. The Lord of the cycle of rebirth called me and said, you have guarded the bridge for 500 years. Now you can choose your path. I was stunned. Had 500 years really passed? During those 500 years, I had always waited by the bridge in the land of the dead, but why had I not seen her return? The Lord looked at me, seeing my dazed state, and sighed. In a trance, I walked back to the Naihi Bridge, where I had sat for 500 years. I had waited by this bridge in the land of the dead for 500 years. Even the stones had turned green with moss, but I still had not seen her return. Later, White Impermanence told me that every soul who reincarnates into the human world becomes who knows what, whether male or female. In an instant, I realized how foolish I had been. But why was there that moment when I felt such a connection with her? And in that moment, tears welled up in the deep darkness, a ghost crying. Now I no longer know what I am waiting for. The past has become the past, like a tear rolling in a dream. But when I woke up this morning, how could I find the emotions that were in my dream? They were like the fleeting sound of a drum, alarming, as if the world was collapsing when the dream ended. All that was left were broken pieces that could never be put back together, like the incoherent words that are difficult to express. But the whispers that linger in the mind are like flashes of lightning, tear through the eternal night in the mind. I don't know what I dreamed of, nor do I wish to chase after the fleeting clouds in my dream. I know that if I don't feel pain, I won't shed tears. I gently strum the strings, singing a sorrowful tune in the world of red dust, where there have already been too many tragic stories. I let go of the pen, unable to write a happy story, while the joys and sorrows of the world are known only to a few. And I, like a wildflower in the wind and dew, know for whom I bloom. Like a solitary wild grass in the wilderness, I know for whom I grow. I once again gave up the chance to reincarnate, because I fear meeting again in the endless world of dust, once entranced me. I fear seeing that bright smile that I will never forget. The Lord of the cycle of rebirth sighed when he saw me. He said that a ghost like me, still clinging to the karma of the human world, would never become an immortal, even with cultivation. I sat again by the Naihi Bridge. I am a little hungry ghost, waiting for someone who may never have existed. Sitting at the bridge, I look at the ghosts and spirits passing by, their faces seeming to tell a story in their empty eyes, reflecting a moment from the past. Seeing their confusion, I am secretly happy, for I still have consciousness and feelings. I gradually understood that the human world has left countless questions for everyone, but where can the answers be found? Surely not in this hell. I think it's not, for in my heart, there are still countless unanswered questions. I return to my existence, without joy, without hope, without sorrow, the existence of a sorrowful ghost. I gently strum the strings, intending to sing an ancient, sorrowful ballad, but instead, the melancholy notes of the cuckoo weeping blood echoed. People long to return to their roots. In youth, who knew sorrow? Only when carrying the weight of sorrow did we know the beauty of joy. But among the endless sounds, two hearts met, and a lifetime of longing began. The strings resonated with the beating of hearts full of resentment. Clumsy hands struggled to express the sorrow, leaving the song incomplete, the melody of grief lingering in the mind. The bird weeps for 1,000 lifetimes in longing, with only 1,000 melodies echoing emptily. Looking back, the past was filled with endless disputes, hopes that were dashed, leading to a boat adrift without direction, navigating through the wilderness. Time passed, day by day. I walked by the bridge day after day, though I had nothing left to hope for. But each time I passed, I couldn't help but look up, hoping to see the figure I longed for. Each time I scolded myself for being foolish, but just coming here, I would foolishly look again. I was so foolish that I would go to the city of wronged souls to see if any souls were crying at the longing tower. In the days that followed, I began to regret not stepping forward to say a word to her when she left. I regretted not hiding away to avoid seeing her one last time. I regretted why, when she left, I didn't say goodbye. The world is happy because there is memory, still able to remember the colors of the world. The world is sorrowful because there is memory, still able to remember the darkness of the world. The magic of time has colored the black and white, tearing them apart, dusting them, leaving pieces fluttering in the air. Chase them, try to piece them back together. To forget, be unable to forget. Forget, unable to forget. All these in the last blooming flower. Like the spring rain, among the scattering petals in the wind, let the last beauty of life sing a song of love unwilling to part. Oh, the petals that won't fall, like my heart shattered. Nature, who made the gentle spring breeze, awakens the soul of the flowers. Why did you let the pounding autumn rain kill the flowers? Why in this world, where there is a beginning, must there be an end? Separation is always so hurried. Wave goodbye to the cloud on the far horizon while the people pass quickly. Only when looking back do they realize it was the end of the joy. The music ends, people disperse. Wave goodbye, looking at each other as if about to part. There is the sound of people leaving in the autumn wind, their robes billowing gently, the soft sound in the ears like a kite string in the wind. Farther and farther away. The string broke long ago, and the kite is now lost somewhere. I never expected it all to end like this. I held onto the string, hoping the kite would return. The separation was too hasty. Wave goodbye, remembering the scent of your breath, remembering your long hair, sometimes searching for your shadow when autumn returns. I wonder if everything has been washed away like flowers beaten down by the rain, scattered by the wind, lost without a trace. Hard to meet again, easy to part. Flowers have long since withered. Long after, I met Kshitigarbha Bodhisattva. Kshitigarbha Bodhisattva is the supreme Buddha of the underworld, the most gentle and compassionate. The wisdom eye of Kshitigarbha Bodhisattva saw through the hesitation and confusion of my heart. The Bodhisattva was amazed that a ghost like me could have such emotion. Bodhisattva sighed, saying, "Sentient beings in the sea of suffering, turn back, and there is the shore." But I didn't understand the Bodhisattva's words. I poured out all my repressed feelings to the Bodhisattva. The Bodhisattva asked, "What is karma?" I couldn't answer. The Bodhisattva asked, "What is love?" I had no idea. Finally, the Bodhisattva asked, "What do you want?" Unable to contain myself, I cried, begging the Bodhisattva to allow me to be human once more. The Bodhisattva allowed me to trade 1,000 years of cultivation for the opportunity to be with her in a human life. Finally, the Bodhisattva said, "All things depend on karma. Don't cling to anything anymore." That day, I finally reincarnated as a human. I was born into a wealthy and prominent family in the region. As soon as I was born, I was a young master. Time passed and I grew up. I noticed the girl next door. Her family was a servant to my family. She had served in my house since she was young. We used to play together when we were little, but as we grew older, we became distant. But I realized that I liked her more and more, and I thought she must also like me. When she was 18 years old, my parents couldn't stop my will, so they went to her house to propose. Her family, of course, agreed immediately. That day, I met her at the door. I was happy and intended to say a few words to her, but to my surprise, her eyes were filled with hatred. My heart froze, and I hurried back, vaguely sensing that something had happened. On the day of the wedding, she ran away with another man. My father, in a rage, ordered the servants to chase after them. I was confused and also followed. Soon we caught up with the couple. I was stunned and terrified, not knowing what to say, just standing there looking at her. She also looked at me, and her eyes were like a whirlpool of hatred, swallowing me whole. In my confusion, my heart clenched. She hated me. Before I could react, everything went black. When I regained consciousness, the servants told me that she and the man had jumped off a cliff to their death. As soon as I heard that, it felt like the world no longer existed, as if time and space had turned into emptiness. My beloved was now gone, leaving only a pale, grim face. Crystal of the past had shattered into sand, blown away by the winds of time and space, scattering and dissolving into the air. Wind, oh wind, where are you going? Why don't you take me with you? The wind had taken my heart far away. Please don't leave me alone, screaming at the edge of the world, an endless scream. The night will come, life will end. Why do we miss each other but can't turn away? Why do we miss each other but can't embrace each other? When I woke up again, I found myself back at the Naihe Bridge. White Impermanence stood beside me, waiting for me to regain my senses. White Impermanence told me that not long after I fainted, my soul left my body. He also told me that the girl who died for love was the female ghost I had helped so long ago. I was overwhelmed, my mind filled with memories. I didn't know what to do. White Impermanence took me to Kshitigarbha Bodhisattva. The Bodhisattva smiled silently. I couldn't hold back and asked, why did she hate me so much? The Bodhisattva said, that is karma. I asked, what is karma? The Bodhisattva said, karma is the seed you once sowed. The life you gave her is the karma. She served you for a lifetime, and that is karma. The life you gave her is because she died unjustly because of you. She died for you, so she demanded that you give her a human life. People often say that there is a previous life and an afterlife, that the actions of the previous life determine the fate of the next. But in reality, there is no before or after, only this life here and now. There is a coming and a going, but there is no birth or death. I felt that everything was a huge mistake. Particular moment, meeting a particular person, leading to a particular event, seemingly with a predetermined result. But life is not like that. I was wrong. I had wasted 1,000 years of my life, missed out on 2 chances at reincarnation, and forfeited the happiness of being human. In that moment, I understood the meaning of the word reincarnation. People must go through reincarnation because of countless mistakes, countless regrets, countless losses that need to be compensated for in this life. But if one continues to reincarnate endlessly, how can one remember what was done in a previous life to guide the next? How can one resolve this? Reincarnation is a teaching of Buddha to help deluded beings understand that turning back is the shore. But those who cling to the past cannot understand the meaning of Buddha's words. Looking back at what I had done, I did not regret it. Now, I understand Buddha's teachings, but I still do not answer. I don't want to think about the Bodhisattva's words either. I had experienced happiness, and I had experienced suffering. I had once been happy, once been in pain, had a dream that lasted 1,000 years, had a debt from a past life, had everything. I was satisfied. I had given up all opportunities to continue reincarnation or cultivation. I willingly chose to remain forever a little hungry ghost by the Naihe Bridge, where I had dreamed for 1,000 years. I believe that one day, I will meet her again, a girl who never changes.